some stuff. Whatever. Here we go.
Oh, we're live.
So, Joe, what's
Holy shit, Shizzy! Look what Shizzy said.
What'd he say?
Congratulations on 600 subscribers.
Woohoo! All right, 600 subscribers.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
That'll drop after today's show.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, he said something that pissed me off," so gonna unsubscribe, drop these bitches back to $5.99.
So I got to do a quick politics thing because you know me.
it.
I'm enjoying this. Watching this fucking meltdown of the Republican Party just way too much.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the DCG Genesis Gemini stuff.
No, I've got that loaded up too. But
yeah, because I want to talk about that open letter. So
I tweeted this morning. I don't think people get it, but I tweeted a quote from Woodrow Wilson: "Never murder a man who is committing suicide." So
I get it.
yeah. Anyway, thank you, Shizzy. Appreciate it, buddy.
You know what's funny is that I don't know if you've been following the Brazilian situation, but you know, Bolsonaro fled the country.
Yeah, he's here.
He's in Orlando.
He's a Florida man now, though, which is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we invite all the shysters and scumbags here. That's what we're all about.
We elect him as United States senators, so we might as well.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, maybe he's going after Rubio's seat.
Yeah, maybe he'll take Rubio's seat. And if he loses, he'll just say it was rigged.
Yeah. This is going to be fun.
I will say this: the Brazilians had their shit together, right? They had all of the legal pieces in place because he was saying he was going to challenge the election before election day, so that when election day came, and he realized, okay, nobody's going to support me on this one, I'm out. So anyway, what do we got, Joe? What's going on? Let me see what I got. Loaded.
I was kind of diving into the whole Winklevi versus Silbert mess. And I mean, you know, one of those Winklevi boys, I think it was Cameron, the open letter thing. And
yeah, I got that letter. Hold on.
It's just like another good example of what not to do.
Right. It's true. I'm like, wait a minute. Did he talk to his fucking attorney about this?
Yeah. That's what I was wondering.
This is not the smartest move in the world. I mean, look, I get it. He's frustrated. But anyway, Eamon says, happy 2023, everyone. We made it through that crazy year. Yeah. You know what? Happy New Year, everybody. We didn't even say that, Joe. Yeah. Happy New Year. Awesome.
Feliz Navidad. No, it's Christmas. Sorry.
What did you do for New Year's Eve? Did you chill out with your family?
I don't do anything. Yeah. It's amateur night for me. New Year's Eve, I just don't go out. And when I was younger,
sit on the couch and get drunk and watch the pop stars sing.
I think I was watching the 2 college football playoff games that day.
Oh, dude, those were great games.
They were awesome. The best games I think that have ever occurred in that. Well, maybe the Georgia Tua when Tua came in the second half and threw that pass. That was a great game too. But I can't remember if that was SEC championship or the playoff. But you know, both the Michigan TCU game and the Georgia Ohio State game were just, you know, down to the wire things and just fun to watch. That's what I did. But back to New Year's Eve, when I was younger, we would always stay in too because we considered it, you know, amateur night. That everybody who didn't really go out and party and stuff like that would, hey. Gracias, Niblets. Thanks for that.
Niblets fix your Spanish.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't get his squiggle in on his keyboard, so I actually said something very, very different for the Spanish speakers. Año.
Yeah. But you know, we always considered it amateur night because everybody who didn't go out regularly was going out and, you know, putting down 4 cocktails and careening around drunk driving all over the place. So, yeah, you know, we coined that term. But I used to do it when I was really young. I think I was underage actually at that point.
Shocking.
But, you know.
Shocking.
Not anymore.
You, Joe?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't want to surprise anybody and take myself out of my what everybody thinks about me.
I'm just flabbergasted. Absolutely flabbergasted.
But I was known to break a few rules in a day.
Oh, my God, dude. I'm so shocked. I'm so disappointed.
Personal vice type things. Nothing bad.
You didn't rob any banks?
No. I was just doing, Democrat Party corruption stuff. It's all personal.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's
Yeah,
all.
I wasn't like stealing from people or, all of that. I was just, lazy and indulgent, self-indulgent.
Yeah. There you go. Well, okay, we'll get to Cameron in a minute, but we're talking about New Year's. Did you see, I'm trying to load this clip up because who knew we needed this, but I was flabbergasted. Did you see the David Byrne, Miley Cyrus performance?
I heard about a Miley Cyrus, Dolly Parton performance.
Well, maybe she was doing a whole concert. Oh, it was Miley's New Year's Eve party. So I guess she had a bunch of celebrities off. This video is fucking taking forever. By the way, I cannot more forcefully recommend everyone leave AT&T for any services. Just, right now, I'm just done with fucking AT&T. Well,
it has horrible cell tower coverage in South Miami. That's the same with me. Dude. We had to put a booster in just to boost the signal so everybody could get it in the house. And, that's down by Coco Plum, Cartagena Circle, all of that, which you would think would be better, because it's all houses. But there's just gaps down there. And
down here by me, too. Yeah, down here by me, I'm like right next to the bay, and it's like fucking just pitiful. And of course, they're also my home internet provider, supposed to be 1 gigabyte, fiber optic, blah, 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 or no, whatever it is, gigabytes of whatever. I've been the last 2 days getting like 20 to 40 megabyte downloads and uploads. I'm just like, what the fuck, people? Give me a break. And of course, when you run their speed test, 500 megabytes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, for the first pack. No.
All right, let's get in. Let's go back to the Cameron Winklevoss letter to Barry Silbert, which is pretty classic. I'm going to read some of it, not all of it, maybe all of it. I don't know. So here's his letter to Barry Silbert. Barry, today marks.
Are you wanting it on screen? You trying to share it?
Oh no, yeah. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be a school mark.
No, that's all good, dude.
It's teamwork.
Yeah, definitely. Barry, today marks 47 days since Genesis halted withdrawals. I'm writing on behalf of more than 340,000 earn users who are looking for answers. These users aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They're real people. And he goes into real people stories. For the past 6 weeks, we've done everything we can to engage you in a good faith and collaborative manner in order to reach a consensual resolution for you to pay back the $900 million that you owe while helping you preserve your business. We appreciate there are startup costs and restructuring. And at times, things don't go as fast as we would all like. However, it is now becoming clear that you've been engaging in bad faith stall tactics. For example, on December 2nd, that's going to be a lawsuit. For example, on December 2nd, we expressed our belief that getting everyone in a room together as soon as possible, the most productive path, blah, blah, blah. He basically says that Barry keeps blowing him off about a proposal, and then that Gemini gave him a proposal, and he's ignoring it and not responding. After 6 weeks, your behavior is not only completely unacceptable, it's unconscionable. The idea in your head that you can quietly hide in your ivory tower and this will all just go magically away, or that this is someone else's problem is pure fantasy. To be clear, this mess is entirely of your own making. Digital Currency Group, of which you are the founder and CEO, owes Genesis, its wholly owned subsidiary, $1.67 billion. This is money that Genesis owes to earn users and other creditors. You took this money, the money of school teachers, to fuel greedy share buybacks, illiquid venture investments, and kamikaze grayscale NAV trades that ballooned the fee-generating AUM of your trust, all at the expense of creditors and all for your own personal gain. It is now time for you to take responsibility for this and do the right thing.
Well, you're going to say the same thing I'm going to say, so you go first.
Look, it's just fucking posturing. Look, the Winklevi are trying to make themselves look better, and so they're concerned that they're probably losing customers over this, right? And so they want to act like they're fighting for their customers, and that's okay to do, but you don't do it by opening up the fucking legal floodgates that are going to come crashing down on top of them from their attorneys and stall this thing out even further. I mean, all you're going to do is create more of a mess. It's like, look, dude, it doesn't matter how long they're stalling you out, which he's going to continue to do. You need to fucking just chill out and communicate with your customers. And you can say, hey, I'm trying to save you guys, and they're not doing what they said. But this kind of shit's just going to get you in more mess.
I mean, that was my read too. I mean, a nice letter to everybody, all the earn customers. customers that just says, hey, we're doing our best, but you got to be patient, because obviously we're a counterparty to some other things and we have to wait for those to settle out. And there's like 4 things that are going to settle out before it gets to us. So, welcome to the forced total Mt. Gox style play at this point.
Yeah.
But the thing
Barry,
is, go ahead.
Shizzy said Sorry. Barry is just trying to buy time right now and understand why Gemini don't see that. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Joe?
No, I was, when you get to the point where, you start saying, oh, and you took mitzvah money and college money and all this other things, and they're all hurting. I mean, it just reflects right back on you. Gemini's the one that took the money.
You're the one that set the deal up.
So why are you taking mitzvah money and stuff like that? I mean, where the whole preaching is you don't do rent money, you don't do saving money, you do risk money. Yeah. So he's taking all the savings and then he's turning around and placing it, trying to get yield over with Genesis. And then they do their thing. But, I get it. That note between DCG and Genesis, I think it's like actually 1.1 billion. But the payback isn't until 2023. And right. So, May. I mean, I think it's increments. Huh?
Yeah. I think the next payment is May.
Yeah, there's another one, was that a 400 million payment or something? There's a pretty big one in May.
Yeah.
So, it's just got to sort out. But, this just seems kind of weak and panicky when they send a letter out like this to me. And I think it exposes them to a whole bunch of counterclaims, as this settles. Anything, tortious interference, defamation, just go down the list. So to me, if you're ever in this situation, you have to just batten down the hatches and shut up, communicate to your customers that you're doing your best, and let it work out behind closed doors with all the lawyers doing it. Because the lawyers can threaten people and say stuff like that in the closed room to another lawyer, but It's not a problem. But when individuals who aren't lawyers start doing this stuff, it really... you just open up a Pandora's box of potential problems. So I thought it was a silly move on his part.
Look, and there was a way to communicate this publicly without creating shit that's going to get you in more legal trouble. Because I think this Lex paragraph is kind of the clue to why they're doing it. They think that Barry's trying to get structured so that he doesn't fucking have to pay. So it says, it's not lost on us that you started your career as a bankruptcy restructuring associate, and it's not lost on us that you've been working desperately to try and firewall DCG from the problems that you created at Genesis. You should dispense with this fiction because we all know what you know, that DCG and Genesis are beyond commingled. Everyone takes orders from you and always has, and anything you have done after the fact to pretend otherwise won't hold up. If instead you had put all of this energy towards finding a resolution, we would have been done by now. Everyone would be in a better place, including you. I think that that the Winklevi are desperate because they think that DCG and Genesis are going to lock this thing down even tighter, and it's going to take years and years to be able to get to anything, which I understand that sense of needing to act and move on them. But like you said, that's the job of the attorneys. You publicly doing this isn't going to do you any good. It's absolutely not going to get you anywhere to give him a reason to sue you for more shit, right? So it's just, it just doesn't make sense. It's fine to posture for your customers, and it's fine to make the point. Just make the point without digging yourself a hole.
Well, I can tell you what the Genesis and DCG lawyers are thinking right now. When they see this, they're like, man, this guy's like a fish out of water flopping on the deck. He's panicking. So, let's settle it out and see what happens.
Right. Barry doesn't care about those retail users. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't care. It's not their customers.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
They're going to do what they got to do to preserve their entity at this point.
Yeah.
But again, it always comes back to, and we've heard this a lot, but I just heard it recently from Sean. So, if you don't know it's sticking in my head a lot. If you don't know where the yield's coming from, you are the yield.
You are the yield.
Is a perfect example right here that, in a few ways, what due diligence was done by Gemini. The other thing, I wonder one thing. There was a dialogue on Twitter that I was in, and somebody was saying, and I'm not a bankruptcy attorney or anything, that if 3, I guess, defrauded, I don't know if that's the right word, customers of Gemini Earn bind together, they could file an involuntary bankruptcy petition.
Really? I did see something about a class action on arbitration going on, but I'm not sure what the story was behind that. I saw some news about that today, and I didn't dive into it. I didn't have time to dive into it, but
But
anyway.
yeah, I mean, everybody's on the hook. And
Yeah.
if you're the one who took the customer money first and then spread it out to the other protocols, you're in a tough spot right now.
That's right. That's right.
Because,
Absolutely.
but this makes, really, you got to just communicate with your customers directly and not do open letters. I mean, I get it. He was he thought that the grassroots was then going to pressure Barry and Barry was going to cave. It ain't going to happen.
Barry doesn't give a shit.
It looks like an amateur move.
It does.
I would question why anybody would give them anything to hold. Gemini.
Well, look, I mean, retail traders are thinking, there is some level of this that I understand it going to retail traders and trying to get them to say, oh, look at this bad guy. We're not the bad guy. I get it from a messaging and marketing perspective. Why? It's just not smart. It's just not smart.
It's not. And,
I mean, I can't believe his attorneys saw this before he posted it.
I don't think they did. I mean, because I just don't see why they would let him send that out.
No. Now, if it was a private letter, maybe.
He makes the accusation in there about how they sent a proposal and Barry hasn't even responded. And he responded on Twitter directly and said, we sent you the proposal on the 29th. We haven't heard back from you guys.
Right.
So he put it right back in Cameron's face. He's like, it's there. It's been there at the board for the last 3 days. And we haven't heard anything out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't remember when all this dialogue was happening, but I think it was yesterday, right? So 4 or 5 days after the proposal was sent to, I guess, Gemini lawyers or Gemini HQ, they aren't even acknowledging it. So I think that makes me think that the Cam letter was just, rogue, that he just sent it out.
Yeah, it makes sense. Barry said DCG did not borrow $1.675 billion from Genesis. DCG has never missed an interest payment to Genesis and is current on all loans outstanding. Next loan maturity is May 2023. DCG delivered to Genesis and your advisors a proposal on December 29th and have not received any response. And then Cameron comes back and says, stop trying to pretend that you and DCG are innocent bystanders and nothing to do with creating this mess. It's completely disingenuous. How does DCG owe $1.675 billion if it didn't borrow the money? Oh, right, that promissory note. Will you or will you not commit to solving this by January 8th in a manner that treats the $1.1 billion promissory note as $1.1 billion? Wow. All right. Well, anyway.
Look, we all know who these guys are. I think Shizzy put it pretty well right there.
Winklevi spoiled rich kids who don't believe in consequences.
Yep. And now it's everybody else's
going
fault.
Around Shizzy. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's your fault, Winklevi.
Yeah, you should have been considering and you should have been considering the downside of the deal. You trusted Barry. You thought they were the blue chip standard, blah, blah, blah. And, you're getting fucked for it. A
lot of people made those mistakes. It's not like, I would be more, if I was the Winklevi, I'd be like, look, like everyone else, we got hustled too.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I agree.
This comes across as some smarmy little, I don't know, I don't want to say anything more derogatory, but it just comes across as like, weak psychologically to me.
Yeah. Sushi Swap is announced it's shutting down Kashi, its lending protocol, and Miso, its launchpad. Which I think with the burn rate that they have going on and the amount of runway they have, this is a smart move. Look, I think the new CEO, Jared Gray, is just trying to shore everything up. And the thing that makes them the most money is the DEX and swapping. And so they're working on some changes to that to improve it. They've funneled fees back from the system out. They are saying that they may come back to these later and have a new protocol. But one of the developers was talking about the fact that the actual code for Kashi isn't up to snuff. And I know if you remember at the launch of Miso, one of the first projects that launched on Miso vulnerability was discovered in the middle of that first Launchpad launch where $300 million was at risk. So I think there was some cutting corners for a while there on the development side at SushiSwap. And frankly, it seems to me that it's smart to refocus and redouble the effort on the core system, save some money on development costs, and build up the system that actually generates revenue for the project. And then you can add bells and whistles later. I did see an analysis, though, talking about how the SushiSwap brand is incredibly valuable, and that, there may be an opportunity here for some kind of acquisition. It gets really weird. We have all these DAOs that are kind of troubled or hurting or slowing down or whatever. And they're if they were normal corporations, the acquisitions would be happening hot and heavy, I think, across the board. But because of the structures of these things, it makes it really interesting to see whether or not they're going to have any acquisitions of organizations like Sushi. Who knows?
Hey, catch me up on Sushi real quick. I know it's Jared Gray's running it now, right?
Correct.
Is that okay? Did Andre Cronje go back to Sushi? Is he involved at all as an advisor or anything?
No. That was all right. He may be an advisor. I have no idea about that, but that deal was all the Danielle, Andre, blah, blah, blah thing.
Okay.
So no, he's not doing that. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Anyway, I think this is a smart move. I think this is what Sushi probably really needs to do, and hopefully it was early enough that they can give themselves an opportunity to have some breathing room. We'll see what happens.
Look what Sean said.
Sorry, I'm not on.
I pulled it up. Happy 14th birthday, Bitcoin Chain.
Oh, nice. Yeah, happy 14th. Is that today?
I guess so, but you know what Shizzy told me earlier today, and that Greta Thunberg and Bitcoin have the same birthday.
Wow.
Maybe not the same year, but the same birthday, I guess.
Close.
Yeah, I was just thinking, that doesn't feel with that, but I was thinking it was the same year when I said something on Twitter earlier. But, I thought that was just, what a weird coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bitcoin. Niblet says, how do M&A change an environment like DeFi where things are so new and temporary that it's often easier just to roll your own rather than buy? Yeah, look, SushiSwap is open source, but the buy in this case is not just the infrastructure and the platform. It's the integrations with SushiSwap in protocols all over DeFi. It is the fact that they're on the most chains of almost any DEX. And it's the brand. Right? It's a recognized, known brand. So in this case, I think an acquisition makes a ton of sense. And frankly, there is an opportunity to quietly buy up enough token supply. I don't know if it's available, if people would sell it, but you could theoretically buy up enough token supply to control the votes of the DAO, right? And hand over the keys to the kingdom to an entity that's trying to acquire it. So, that's always a possibility. At the end of the day, it's probably would have to be some kind of organized vote for the DAO to say, yes, we will sell our tokens to so-and-so who will control it and blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Or it could be another DAO that comes in and says, you know what? We're going to give all Sushi holders X number of tokens and the brand's going to be under our brand, or it'll become the brand for our brand. And everybody gets a piece of the action, and we're a DAO too, and we're going to function this way. That could happen as well. I know during the big cascading stuff that was happening in January, February, March, that actually Olympus was going out trying to do some acquisitions like that. There's always that opportunity. Niblets also said, go ahead.
Just on that point real quick. I remember Jared was talking a lot about, getting regulatory compliance in the U.S. And I just didn't catch it when you first said it, but dumping the lending protocol and then dumping the token launchpad, those are two things that, would never get through the U.S. regulatory process.
Yeah, so maybe that's part of it.
It's a further repositioning for that M&A activity that you and Niblet are talking about.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense. Niblet said, or is the space not as organizationally liquid as I think it is? No, it has some potential. Sean says, I have no idea what SushiSwap is. I am assuming it's some Asian food exchange. That's exactly it. It's tokenized tuna is what it is, Sean. That's what we're doing. We're tokenizing tuna.
When I first saw SushiSwap a couple years ago, I was kind of looking at it. It was kind of like I was like, what the hell is this? And you're like got the onsen farms and all that stuff, and I was like, this is kind of goofy. And then I saw Pancake Swap, and I was like, no, it's not that goofy. After I saw Pancake, but the brands, the cutesy brands, I talk about this with the Phantom stuff too, with Spirit Swap or Boo or those. It's not really my style, but I get how it resonates to people, to say Gen Z to millennial, because it's fun. It's not like an Excel spreadsheet basically for a bunch of quants to look at. It's got a very nice consumer focus that I've probably underappreciated over the years.
Makes sense. Niblet says buying token on open markets for control makes sense, but this seems a very different activity versus traditional M&A. All you need is a wallet for DeFi M&A. No? Yeah. Theoretically, yes. Now, if somebody starts buying up mass volume of the Sushi token, people are going to know shit's up, right? Because you can see it happening. So it's a lot more difficult acquisition because price will rise, people will buy more. Or if somebody announces they're going to acquire, it makes it even worse, right? But if it was a protocol that had a pretty good reputation and a pretty good brand and a base of users, but was financially insolvent or the developers had abandoned it, that's a much easier acquisition, right? Then I think you go to a DAO and you say, look, people, you guys are in trouble. All of you people sitting on tokens are in trouble. You can either dump them into the market and I'm going to buy them all up and take voting control, or we would love to have you be part of our community, because part of what you're buying is not only the brand and the technology, but it is the community that loves the platform, right? And so I think it's important when you can, if you're going to engage in this M&A activity in DeFi, to think about that, because that's part of what you're buying. If you've got 5,000 or 6,000 dedicated users of a protocol who are making money on it on a daily basis and use it and talk about it and spread the word about it, you want those people on board. So anyway. Eamon said, yeah, that legal compliance is likely the reason they're dropping it. Haha. Niblet says, I'll swap my taco nigiri for your futomaki, please, Sean.
You know what that reminded me of? Remember those like sushi? Who was the guy who did these on Doki Doki? There was the kind of the sushi oriented NFTs.
Oh yeah. I can't remember his name. Those were actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I still have some.
I do too.
Yeah, what was his name? Damn, Miguel Areste or something like that. Areste.
Yeah.
Or Oreste.
Something like
that. But yeah, he was really good, and that was another artist that basically, I mean, no slant to him or no shade to him, but that gotcha machine technology was, got him his first big gig.
Yeah.
So, it was a plus, but it reminds me of that. And when I saw those, because then wasn't there something then there was the other one with Sushi Swap itself, if I remember right.
Yeah. Then they had a deal with Sushi where they did it. The Sushi team, the art team, did a series of NFTs. I wasn't overly excited about them, but they were nice enough. But there just wasn't enough oomph to them, Anyway,
yeah, I agree.
By the way, that Doki was seeing I think there were little price spikes on Doki over the last couple of days. If I caught it out of the corner of my eye doing something else, and then I went and looked. They're launching a new kind of story backed, game backed NFT collection.
Kazuna?
Yeah, I don't know much about it. Have you looked at it?
I've been in it messing around for the last couple months, but it looks like they're trying to do something similar. Like remember the other project they did that had the full story and background and all the game stuff attached to it. It looks to me like they're trying to
Chain Binders?
Something like that one.
That's my favorite project.
Yeah, I do too. I really like that one.
I love the model on that one. I think we've talked about it about 400 times on this show, but I still love the model on that.
But the one thing about I think they got the Kazuna thing going, and it's gosh, I just saw this stuff recently, but it's like a GameFi-ish play with storyboards, and then there's some very interesting wrinkle in there too that was new. But the next thing that comes behind that is the gotcha token, because remember they're
that's coming out. Yeah.
So the play on there is that it's a straight up dollar value swap into the new token. So if you hold Azuki or Doki, in whatever dollar amount that is, that's how much you get of the new token. Now, I don't know. I mean, this is all what's been told to me. I don't know anything, but this is what they say they're doing. And then the other piece of that was kind of interesting, you also get credit for spinning, using the gotcha machine to get NFTs, and you also get credit for chain binders. So anything you did on those projects counts towards your
really
allocation, let's say, when they
do a
together.
drop.
Yeah, but Suzuki and Doki tokens are going to go away.
Because I'm sitting on a ton of those chain binder NFTs right now.
Yeah. I sold. I dumped all of mine, but I have a lot of those ashes.
Joe, you have been vanquished. You have been vanquished. I'm still holding.
When ETH was 4,500, that's when I dumped them.
Okay. All right. So you're really Mr. Smarty Pants.
Nah, I mean, you could go into OpenSea right now and buy all those NFTs for $2 a piece.
Not the chain binders one.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. Not the chain binders one.
No, because those are all backed by ETH. Any idiot selling those, I'll take them.
No, there's something else going on over there. But I saw a lot of them at low price, and but it wouldn't be below the backing amount. So I might be thinking about.
You're thinking of what's his name? The guy who we were getting offers on the NFTs I have of his all the time.
That's right. Sear Light.
Yeah. Those
those are the ones
selling. Those are selling at a discount.
Gotcha. Yeah. But those were going for what? I mean, they were going for a quarter to half an ETH when ETH was at like 4,500 or something, and now they're all down in that $10 range. So
Eamon says Joe lost the battle to be the last man standing. I will be the final sole participant on the island, dude. That's like $1 million.
No,
it's
like
$1 million.
Well, it is.
Right now, imagine what it could be in a year if I'm the last man standing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start my own game show.
I suspect that there's going to be other people in there forever.
Nah, I'll be the last man.
I can think of 3 people that I know are in it forever.
People who don't give a fuck about how much it's worth.
Enzo. But
listen, if I can get to 150 grand return on that investment, I'm good on that. I'm good.
Well, look, this is what I always find so fun because we slogged through 2019, 2020, and I admit I kind of stopped paying attention to some of the tokens I had, and then all of a sudden, January of 21, stuff that was like 0.00000 something, all of a sudden was 14 cents. So this is all going to come back. It's important to just think of the next cycle. Be ready, because my biggest mistakes between the last cycle and this cycle was dumping all the Cardano and Stellar and Tron that I had, because I was just like, this ain't going anywhere. Yeah, all the ones that's probably why I can't stand them, because I'm after myself.
Eamon says all the chain binders are like 0.95 ETH for sale. He says, does every chain binder NFT have the same amount of ETH backing? No, they do not. I think it's 50-50 split. You have to go to the chain binders website, chainbinders.dokidoki.com, and then you can find the ones there that I have on the screen right now. You can find the ones that have backing value. So if you go in there, you can find out which ones. And then if they're, all you got to do is see if they match up from an ETH perspective. I would assume anybody selling them, the ones that you're seeing at 0.95 right now, they're worth 0.949191 ETH. Now, here's the thing to remember. If, we keep having downturns and people keep burning their NFTs to get the ETH out and sell it, that 0.949191 ETH could become 1.2 ETH or 1.5 ETH. I mean, that's what happens. The value accrues to them. Every time somebody burns their NFT, everybody that stays in gets 15% of the ETH back to us. They pay a 15% penalty to us. So Joe paid us 15% of the ETH he got out of when he burned.
But one thing.
But
I didn't burn. I sold the first day.
Oh, you just sold the NFTs.
Well, because they were going on OpenSea when this was the next level, whatever the first level, highest level. They were all going on OpenSea for like 1.3 ETH, 1.2 ETH, back when the backing was 0.7. So when everybody was clamoring to complete the collections, That's when I dumped 3 of the
smart move,
legendaries, or the smart ones, the highest rated ones.
Yeah, that's good.
But look, there was also there was NFTs in there that were. I mean, what was the super NFT that was backed by like $100,000 worth of ETH or something? There was one that was a giant one.
Yeah, but here's the thing: there's still ones available to buy. Like you can come spin. You can come spin the game. You can come spin the machine. The Doki Doki Gacha machine, and get these for whatever B&D's trading at, $5 or $9 or whatever.
I'm trying to find it right now.
Now you could also get shit that's not worth anything, but you could theoretically. I mean, look, there are 12 copies remaining for sale in the Gacha machine of this thing, right? And every one of those copies is worth 0.949191 ETH. And the same is true as all of these that have ETH backing numbers next to them. So you can go in and spin that Gacha machine. And, you know, I came out with about 50 worth ETH and 50 without that didn't have any ETH value. But this is still an open play, right? Well, and the beauty of it is if you paid 0.95 ETH for this T today, over time, as people burn out and burn their NFTs, you're going to get 15% of the ETH that they release. And so this amount of value will grow over time.
Yeah, no, look, when I spun, I think ETH was about maybe 1,800 at that point. And I came in with like 10 grand and bought all the B&D with 10 grand worth of B&D at $10,000, not 10,000 ETH, I'm sorry. And, you know, then basically I think I spun half of it, and out of that $5,000, I pulled, I think, 12 grand. And then I spun the second half a couple of weeks later, because this was all going on right when everything was tipping over. And there was a 3-week lockup after you got them. Yep. And, you know, and then it was just sliding. So when it got to the end of the lockup, people started selling. But in the second batch, I think I dropped 5 and I got 7. No. Yeah, I thought it got even on that because I figured out that I bet 10 and got 17 back in, 3 weeks or so. So to me, it was a home run, 70%.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. So I've, look, I did nothing but win on this play. I'm still holding big bags of Azuki and Doki. But, when Azuki was up at like $2, I mean, it's at like, what, half a cent now. I sold some there. And I sold some Doki when that was at $400, if I remember, or $450. I got to
tell you, I love the team over there. I think I'm going to go stack up a little. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. I love the Gacha engine. I love the protocol. I love the creativity of the team. I love what they develop. I think there's a shit ton of potential for that project that was never realized because they launched everything in the midst of the fucking NFT fucking mess. I'm going to go buy me up some Asuki and Doki if I'm not. Have they already done the snapshot on the wallets? Do you know?
Well, they don't really telegraph that data. I don't think they've done the snapshots. When I heard a couple of weeks ago, they hadn't done it yet. And I would suspect they haven't.
Yeah, Eamon, you can still use the machine and buy the NFTs. It's not locked down. Yeah.
Remember, those are hard backed. That ETH that backs it is locked in a wallet.
Yeah.
And you guys can, I mean, I can't look at the code, and understand what it means, but I'm sure others can. So, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about these guys, but I was buying and selling it on all fronts. I was in the other project. I was in the Unically project for Udoki, which was the fractionalized NFTs, if I'm not mistaken, with liquidity pools. And I was in the Doki Doki 20 project. I basically won in every project there. So to me, and they didn't quit. I mean, these guys are, they're undoxed. So they could have just shut it all down. Yeah. And they're not in the U.S., by the way, for anybody listening. Right. Not Americans. But, they didn't run away. So to me, that is the big thing to me. When you know that they are going to keep going, that they've got a network of followers, that their subject matter is stuff that a lot of people like. The anime stuff is in a lot of these. And, a lot of people like that. And so to me, the fact that these guys didn't quit shows they have a lot of character.
Yeah. Real quick, when we were talking about Sushi dropping their lending protocol, it's ironic because I'm listening to this book on my vacation drive and then, driving the kids about town, whatever. This book is fascinating. This is a guy by the name of Jacob Fugger, and this guy, so much of what has happened historically, he lived in around 500s. So much that has historically happened is because of this man. He's the man that bribed the Pope to overturn calling all interest sinful and usury. He's the guy that got that overturned. He was one of the largest lenders in the world. He controlled 2 to 3% of all of Europe's GDP. Fascinating fucking story. Just want to recommend the book. It's really well done. Really interesting background. I'm learning so much about that time and how decisions made then have dramatically impacted how we function economically and culturally. And that this man was driving huge amounts of it because he was so friggin' wealthy during that time. And he did it all from lending. Jacob Fugger. Fugger.
Fugger, sorry. Fugger.
Fugger. Anyway, fascinating book. And I when I saw that Sushi was dropping out of lending, I'm happy to be listening to this book at the same time, and how much money this man made from lending, and how much capitalism depends on lending to actually function, and how he basically unleashed capitalism at that time. But he was the thing that made it all happen because he bribed everybody in the Catholic Church to make it not illegal anymore, and basically just unleashed everything upon the world. So anyway,
interest, that's, you see it now, like in Sharia law, where they still don't allow interest. On instruments, but back then it was more like, you lent it to someone, they had to pay you back, but it wasn't an interest payment. There were other things you had to do.
It was a gray area. So he would take payment back in silver after he had lent the money of the time, right? So that he could get away with it until then. But he's the one that actually got the Pope to declare interest being okay, and making the Catholic Church go against what the Bible says Christ said about interest. And he was the one that made that happen.
No interest, right? Old Testament was no interest. Yeah.
Well, Christ said that anyone that charges interest is going to hell. So that was the doctrine of the church.
Right, and that's why they always make that reference to the. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say anything negative, but the Jewish money lenders in the temple.
No, that's why.
Like that.
That's why they had a place called Jew Hill in where he lived in Augsburg, Germany, and because the Christians weren't allowed to lend, the Jews would lend, and the Catholic Church didn't punish Christians who borrowed. They only were supposed to punish Christians that lent. And then he overturned that because the entire Catholic Church was bought and paid for. Bishops bought their slot as bishops. There were 14-year-olds that were bishops that had never been priests. I mean, it was like, anyway, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was held up, like you said, in kind of, is it anti-Semitic or something like that? There was the rivalry there.
That's where it all started. Yeah. That's where it all started. Because then after the church overturned it, all the Catholics were like, fuck yeah, let's get and they did. They pushed all the Jews out. They they physically took them out of the city of Augsburg. And in this book, it says they took the Jewish cemetery headstones and built a bank from the stones after they kicked all the Jews out of the city.
It's the Catholics built the bank or the Christians built the bank, or the Jews took the stones and built the bank?
No, the Catholics threw the Jews out of the city once they had the ability to start lending money. They took over all the lending money business. They threw the Jews out of the city, and then they took up all the headstones from the Jewish cemetery and built a bank with the headstones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's always that going on.
Fascinating book. I don't want to divert everybody, but there's some amazing lessons in here about money, about business, about lending, about finance. This guy was pretty fucking amazing. I got to tell you. I mean, he was a charge forward. There's no danger in anything I see. I will take on anything kind of shit. Like, he owned the emperor, he owned the pope, he owned the bishops, he owned every function of government. I mean, he
probably lent them all the money to buy their seats, basically.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly. He
So,
financed
I mean,
all the wars. He financed all the wars. And we talk about the corruption of money in government today.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah, that's what I
literally,
was thinking exactly. Yeah.
this
that's
was
like-
literally bought and paid for. It was literal. You had to put up 20,000. What the fuck was the money called? Anyway, you had to put up 20,000 to become a bishop. You had to put up 40,000 to do this. You had to put up 100,000 to become the pope. And the previous pope was being bribed by the new pope, and and then the pope
Well,
one of the popes,
yeah.
Leo, was spending so much money on prostitutes and gold plates and parties for the other priests that he had to borrow money for Fugger, who put him in debt, who now puts him under control of Fugger. I mean, it's like crazy shit.
Yeah, but we got to remember. I always feel like everybody knows all the history, but not you, but I'm saying to listeners that the Catholic Church, the papacy, all of that was actually the government of Europe at that point, and you couldn't become a king or queen without the Pope's blessing.
Yeah.
So until I think there was a split somewhere along the way when one pope went to Avignon and the other stayed in Rome, and there was a rivalry there for a bit, and they were sanctioning different royal families, but whoever wanted to be the royal family had to go down there and kiss the ring and drop a big chunk of cash on the the Vatican to get I guess anointed.
Yeah. Hey, Gains Network is now live on Arbitrum. We were just talking about this on Friday. It's live on Arbitrum, but the cool thing is they released a cool new feature that they'd kept secret, one-click trading. So they've built a mechanism that allows you to connect your wallet to like an intermediary trade delegation wallet, and you still have control of it. You can shut it off at any time, but now you can execute trades. So this opens the door for bots and all kinds of stuff. You can execute the trades without signing every single transaction, right? So one click, it's done, and boom, and then all the trades can happen. But happening now, launched live. It's now on Arbitrum, and I'm excited for them because I really. Go ahead.
I saw something similar to that on Spirit Swap a few weeks ago when I was putting some Spirit into the In-Spirit protocol.
Uh-huh.
I just, me, I just locked it for 3 years and said, who cares? I'm like, it either makes it and it's big or it doesn't. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, that's a good move. I like that.
But I noticed when you put it in, it ran through 5 steps off of the first click.
Yeah.
But it shows the approvals in there, I guess. But I can't remember if I had to still click on the MetaMask thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love this one button stuff. It's cool.
Yeah. Niblet says, when things turn around price-wise, do you think we will see a couple token run first and pull the rest along, or we see the entire tide rise roughly together? It always comes in phases. Oh, man, where was that? Listen, Niblets, I'm going to try to find from a past episode. We talked about, this guy wrote up an entire analysis of the bull runs and what coins. Do you remember that, Joe? We were talking about this guy had this entire data structure of what coins run first, what to expect on the next one, what would come after that, and the whole process. And he had banked it out for data across the years. Doesn't mean it'll stick, but it was actually a really smart analysis. And I think he said he started off with new token launches being leading the way. And when those started surging, I think, don't quote me on it because I got to look it up, but I'm going to try to find that thread because it was a really awesome thread on this whole theory of what starts the bull run and what to look for, and then where to jump in after. So I think I might have that in my notes database. But anyway,
I was going to say there was one guy too back then. And we seem to be following a lot of this. There was always that concept of but we weren't really dealing with a lot of stable coins either. There was that concept of like when BTC was running, altcoins were dumping because all the money was FOMOing into BTC. And so the way I always summarized it was that you had to get that big blow up top on BTC where people are taking profits, and then they're going to the next one. And the next one, then we always thought it was ETH.
Right.
And then it would flow down to the alts. But there weren't as many high quality alts back then either.
Right.
So
yeah.
But I don't see alts running before BTC. I mean, I might be wrong. I'm just saying. Well,
I think his point was last time that it actually happened that way. That launch new ICOs were surging, and then and then alts, and then Bitcoin ETH. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking about it because I need to go back and read the data that he had instead of just fucking saying it because I don't know for sure. Don't forget though, you are not limited on gains to just crypto. And the interesting thing is not only do you have crypto, but you have stocks. So Apple, Amazon, Disney, GME, GameStop, Google, etc., that you can also trade as synthetics, but Forex. And they announced in their end of the year summary for gains that Forex took over from crypto and stocks for the highest trading volume on the Gains network in terms of synthetics. So it's very interesting.
Well, that's super liquid market. Yeah, that's super liquid.
Yeah. Shizzy says, I think the runs will be different now without Alameda and Three Arrows. They kind of ran the show before and dictated the markets. You know, that's a really good point. And I was discussing that yesterday with somebody, and somebody was talking about the fact, I know it is. Is it Mike Albert? Whatever. There's a guy who's just like this contrarian dick all the time on Twitter, but I can't think of his name.
Talking about.
Anyway,
Mike Allred.
Is it maybe Allred? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I think he was talking about the fact that the next runs are not going to have Alameda and all these other guys pumping them up. But here's the thing. There's going to be another Alameda. There's going to be another 3AC because it's an open, decentralized market and anybody can come in and manipulate these things, right? Now, we are going to be better at identifying and seeing them happen on chain and will hopefully be better about not trusting in the centralized entities they're using to manipulate the markets. But there will be another 3AC and there will be another, Alameda and all of that because they've been around forever in the regular markets.
Right. And I think, though, what I remember, the timing's all off in my head, but I can't remember when they really started messing around with it. Because I don't think it was right. It was before January 21, was it? Or was it December? Or was it like months after that? Because that first run, remember when everything started really popping off in January 21? Or it actually had popped off in December, did a little correction, and then popped off again like the third week of January, maybe. But what was driving that? And to me, another question's coming from Niblets is I think that was stimmy money myself. I think
said something here about that.
Yeah, right there, the one you have up. It was the stimmy money from that, easy Fed cash, the pandemic stimulus, all of that. The people had extra money and they were all sitting at home.
Yep.
So they all went into crypto.
Niblett said, that's interesting. I wonder how the dynamic changes when the money flowing in is from easy Fed cash versus organic DeFi value generation. I definitely don't think it's going to be as massive an influx as we had last time, right? And that makes it so that the big guys have less easy pickings. But, there will be a cycle of stimulus again at some point.
But also remember, I think in 18 or so or 19, I'm trying to remember. I might have the numbers off a little bit. They were saying something like 4% of maybe Americans were actually in crypto. And at the end of the pandemic, it was like now it's like 11, 12%.
Yeah.
So, you got to think if that grows to 50%, you're going to get a big, tsunami of cash flowing in. Unfortunately this year, all the people we were trying to get into DeFi all went into, Gemini and GBTC and all these things SBF stuff or Terra or anybody, and they all got their clock cleaned now. So they're all winged big time. I mean, the stuff I read about this, somebody sent like 10 million to an exchange in Singapore and they had it was a scam. And so then they were trying to get their money back and they're like, oh yeah, sure. We'll give you your winnings back, but you got to pay Singaporean taxes. That's $647,000. So they paid the $647,000 on top of everything else. Oh. And then, then they started stalling it out, and then everybody disappeared. So, people are falling for that stuff still. Yep. And that's the thing.
Sean says there will always be new beta monkeys, Shizzy. Different people, same model. Shizzy says, it will be BlackRock and Goldman next time. Yeah, most likely. It'll
be names you recognize.
Exactly.
And it'll still be uninsured. That's the thing. So remember.
This is a tool that's new to me. I don't know if it's new to everybody else. Oh, fuck. I thought I had it open. Where is it? I don't know if this is brand new and they just put it out. Gecko Terminal. So it kind of competes with the other terminal type products. But for some reason, I really love the UI on this thing. I don't know if it's just design oriented or what, but you could come in here and pick a chain and check out a concurrent pair and the pool and liquidity and volume and pricing and everything else all in one. But for some reason, I'm really attracted to this interface. This is from CoinGecko. It's called Gecko Terminal. It's geckoterminal.com. Really, really just wanted to point it out to everybody so you're aware of it, because it's a really nice tool. You can create your own watch list. Add tokens to it as you're browsing through. Seems to have a really comprehensive list of chains. I mean, this has got shit I've never heard of in chains, and you and I have been looking at chains. What the fuck is Swimmer Network?
We forgot to do our top 10, our 10 picks for the year.
Fuck. All right, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow.
So everybody get yours. One other thing I was going to say, just sorry not to cut you off for a second, but I ran into a play when I was dealing with the feed between Gilbert and Cameron. Somebody jumped in and said, because I was talking about decentralized and no custody and all that. Somebody comes in and said, yeah, it sounds like an ad for X7 Finance. And so I looked at it, and they're doing some like loans for liquidity protocols. And so I was going to invite everybody, just take a look at that.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about it tomorrow. At X7 Finance.
At X7 Finance.
Well, that's the Twitter handle.
Yeah,
I think
I'll find
X7
it.
Finance gets you enough.
Okay. So I did this tweet thread yesterday because I'm going to tell you again, and you and I have said this repeatedly.
No, because we're giving them free advertising, okay? We have to stop saying they should sponsor us.
Yeah, I mean, but these fucking guys, look, this guy this is fucking brilliant. Like, they are heads down, have no revenue stream until now. DefiLlama comes out now with a fucking DeFi aggregator. Number 1, lets you protect your IP address. Number 2, matches against 8 different aggregators. Number 3, includes quote and gas costs, and they verify them. And available for 22 chains. And you can control the level of approval you give their aggregator. And they're getting a cut from every DEX that's listed in the system. So there's no fee for you. There's no additional charge for the trade. And it's a system that works really well. I had it open, and now I can't fucking find it because I've got 4 million tabs open. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I said in the tweet yesterday. It's like, they have not stopped building. Yeah. These are the guys that win. These are the guys that when the masses come back in, the default fucking brand is DefiLlama and all of the properties that they're building up. They're building up RPC. They're building up hosting infrastructure. They're building up. They've launched a media company this month with a full-blown journalistic staff and team. They've launched DEX aggregator. They're supplying data that Masari and all the other big players charge thousands of dollars a month for, and they're giving it away free. It's just a really smart fucking strategy, right? Build up your brand, build up trust. Everybody loves you. Everybody uses your tools. Everybody has to have your tools. Hit them with new releases every fucking week. I mean, Joe, literally every week for the last 3 months, it's been a new release, a new release, a new release. And then launch a tool that gets you revenue, but it gives everybody exactly what they want. Full-blown DEX aggregation, no extra costs. Make sure you have the smallest price, and make sure that your privacy is protected. I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of, CZ is one of those people that I see as, a brilliant businessman who fucking built something massive and knew how to turn it into something that makes a lot of money. This guy and the guys at DefiLlama are just killing it, dude. Killing it.
Yeah.
And they didn't slow down while everybody else was shitting. They waited, and they kept building and kept building and kept building. They weren't making a penny, all out of pocket. And then launch this shit, start generating revenue, keep building on top of that revenue. And guess what? When the masses come back in, they're going to be the last man standing.
Well, now look, they've built everything. So they could do a regulated token offering in the U.S., filing and stuff, because they're golden at this point. I mean, this is like when we talk about Ton, the Telegram one sometimes, which, has been bouncing up and down. It's like, I saw it at 204, now it's back 220. They have that big community, but this actually has actionable information in it. Telegram, we're just getting leads and check things out and this and that. We have to dig in. But DefiLlama does the digging for you.
Yep.
So to me, I think, this is one that I think could get really interesting in the next cycle.
And they do everything in the spirit of the thing. Like 1inch, they're closed source. They're not an open source platform. They're not decentralized. DefiLlama releases everything they do as open source. All of their data is available for free to use if you want to build your own applications on top of it. It's just...
Wait, scroll back up for a second. The privacy mode right there. What did it say? Oh, no, I'll look at it later.
I'm going to load up the
privacy mode, and I was curious.
I'll load up the interface.
Because look, if you put a VPN on this and then go into the privacy mode, you're in really good shape.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's getting tracked here, right? There's 22 chains. You pick the chain. I mean, this is pretty simple. Let's try Matic, USDC, and it comes back with the best routes. And it shows you the best route, and then it shows you the difference between the other ones. So in this case, it's OpenOcean. Matcha's number 2. But I mean, and the cool thing is, if you leave this open, it'll keep updating. I had it open last night, and it keeps updating the current prices it finds. So
I remember when, like, I think at the very beginning, I used to do this occasionally swap in MetaMask. And this is pre-Polygon and everything, but it wasn't 2018. It was still 2020, somewhere around there. And it was always, I think, horrible types of swaps, and then of course you're right in that wallet. But it made me think when I saw that DefiLlama doesn't have a wallet, right?
No, but I mean that could easily be a next step.
Yeah. Yes.
So Shizzy brought up Canto did a nice upgrade on their interface. It's still the kind of funky matrixy green interface, but they integrated the LP and the lending, so you can click a button and have it automatically stake into lending. The stuff that you're doing LPing. The staking interface is better. It works better on mobile. Overall, much better improvement. So you're right. And Niblet says, and Canto is up nicely at the moment as well. Yeah, there's a nice little up in price over the last couple of days. Sean said, Joe, just use Tor, dude. So anyway.
Yeah, I guess, I just never quite figured that. I mean, I have options in the VPN to go that route. But, I'm not too worried about government people. It's like not my thing, but I'm worried about everybody else. And I always wonder when you strap into Tor in the US if you're hitting some kind of like.
That's not. I mean, structurally, the system, the way it functions, it's easy to see if that's happening or not. But
do you think that it's better than
interlopers in the government?
Yeah, no. But what I mean is that do you think it's better that way than say strapping in like 2 or 4 hop VPNs? No. Scooter used the DefiLlama swap. Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know what's more secure. I would think that Tor is probably more secure, but it's also much slower and more painful to use. So,
that's probably why I didn't get there.
I would probably do a VPN with a Tor, and I think there's a browser that has Tor built in. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, James said he just used the DefiLlama swap, super smooth. Yeah, man, I think this is a really brilliant move by them. Joe, I got a couple more things, but I think we're done for the day.
Yeah. I have a few things I want to say for tomorrow too. So we got the picks for tomorrow. Everybody check out X7 Finance for me. See what you pick up there. He does it on Nord. Okay.
Euphoric uses Tor on Nord. So yeah, that makes sense. Then you're getting the privacy of your gateway. That's okay. Then nobody even knows you're using Tor if you start with the VPN.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah.
There was something else. So X7, top 10 picks for the year. We want to get those in tomorrow, everybody. So we'll see how it turns out over the year. You can't sell. You can't do anything. You just got to hold.
Yeah.
No limit on no filter. Pick any tokens you want.
Yeah. Well, I'll put them in a spread. Actually, you know what? Because I should add something. I should add something else to my task list. I'm gonna put up a. I'm gonna put them all in a spreadsheet so you can tell us tomorrow in comments. You can reply to my tweet, but I'm gonna put a link up to a Google form that allows you to post your 10, and that way they'll all be in the spreadsheet. And
Brad, you were telling me you're going with 10 stable coins this year, right?
Totally, yeah, man. You know me, Mr. Danger.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm only going to. Here's my top 10 are only going to be tokens issued by Justin Sun.
Oh, even better.
That's it. My top 10.
I think people have asked a lot about VPNs. I think that my I don't know if I should recommend, but NordVPN is really good.
I use IvaC. They've been good. Their software needs a little work.
What if you're US? The one thing about Nord is that their servers are. I'm not saying this is all foolproof or anything, but there's no. Most of it, I guess, where it comes in is all Panama based. So while there are VPN servers in different countries, it's very hard to track back, and penetrate those servers.
Yeah.
So I like it, and it's easy to use, and it has all those choices: Tor, obfuscated servers, double hop VPN, single hops. There's like 4 or 5, 6 choices in there, and so you could get your level of security that you want. Now, if you're an Iranian dissident, you're going to be in there at whatever the highest level of protection is, or Chinese trading crypto. But here, I'm more worried about like the tech algorithms.
There you go.
So,
Amen.
Yeah.
James, Niblet, Shizzy, Euphoric, Sean. Jesus, we had a lot of participation today. This was fun. Absolutely great.
Too.
Happy New Year, everybody. Love you guys and appreciate you. I'm excited for the new year, Joe. Looking forward to all of us having fun together, building some stuff together, and seeing what we can do. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We really, really appreciate it. It helps us boost our ranking. If you haven't yet, please go do that as soon as you can. Take a pause from the listen button and go do that. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, please rate and review us, subscribe, and click the little bell to get alerted when the notification comes in. Oh, yeah, and click the thumbs up button.
Smash it.
Smash the button. Smash the button. The button. My son used to say button like that. Button. It's the button.
Too much Harry Potter.
That's it. That's all I got, Joe.
All right,
Everybody
buddy.
have a fantastic afternoon. Happy New Year, Joe. Have a great one.
You too, buddy. Thanks, everyone. Great show. Get your list together.
Thanks, Shizzy.
Figure out X7 Finance, and let's go at it tomorrow.
Talk
Cool.
to you guys later. Bye-bye.